Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion, Yevamos, Daf Lamed Ched, number 38. We have a great share for you today. We're going to talk about this concept of Ein Safek Mosim Midei Vada, and we're going to clear an investigation. Clear, I guess in Yiddish means clear, make clear. A chakira in Hebrew, investigation in English. What does it mean, Ein Safek Mosim Midei Vada? You'll come across this in the Gemara a lot. Usually what we think it means. Like the Gemara Lamed Ched and Aleph talks about a case. The case is on top, in the middle of Lamed Ched and Aleph. The Gemara gives a case. Safek v'Yevamos Shabbat toward the top of Lamed Ched and Aleph. Safek about 6 lines. Safek v'Yevamos Shabbat lach v'nichli saba. Safek Amar Hay Gavra Bar Mista have a palgadidi who's Yavam Amar At Barai Didi Ad V'Lei Shlach V'Lo Midi have a Yavam Vadai Safek V'Yin Safek Mosim V'Nei Vadai. Again, this is a case where a Safek and a Yavam, the grandfather, died, right? So who gets the klipit? So in the Safek, we don't know whose child he is. It's the child of the Yavam or the child of the deceased brother. So he claims that he's the heir to the deceased brother, and therefore he inherits through his father's grave. He inherits from his grandfather, like half, right? His half is the brother. The Yavam is also a son of the grandfather. And again, the Yavam wants to inherit the whole thing because he claims that the Safek is his son. So if it's his son, then he would get the whole inheritance of the grandfather. So he's Vadai, and the grandson, and the Safek is a Safek. And the Safek gets nothing. The Safek Mosim, the Vadai, he gets nothing. The Vadai wins. The Vadai wins. Presumably the whole thing, it means he wins. So, a couple questions on this. First of all, it makes sense that regarding half of it, he gets it because for sure half belongs to the Yavam, but because he's a son of the grandfather. But the other one is something. So why don't we say that the Vadai, the Yavam gets half, and the other half, Mamon Muta B'Safek Chalk, and you split evenly, right? Normally, people think this means the Vadai means that it's like the Vadai is a muhsak, like the Gemara says on Lamed Ched and Beis, where the Gemara has questions over here. It brings a Brisa Nafala in the middle of the Lamed Ched and Beis. It brings a Mishnah Nafala Bayis Olav Al Aviv. A house falls down on a son and a child, a son and the father. Right? You don't know who dies first. If the father died first, so the son inherits him, and then any creditors of the son, because the son died second, would get to collect. But if the son died first, the father inherits the son, and then the Balcho would get nothing because he only has a credit on the son, not the father. So it's hard to figure out. So the Gemara assumes there's a concept. It still assumes Ein Safek Motzim Midei Vadai, that the Vadai, who's the Vadai? The Vadai is the father. Why is the father the Vadai? Because the Balchov, it's because the Balchov is really the one collecting for the son, and the Balchov is only a Safek, meaning he's not Muchsak. The father is more Muchsak than the Safek, because the Balchov is not. Only Beis Shammai holds, only the Gavos Gavai Dime. Beis Hillel holds, if you have a credit, you have an outstanding loan to collect from somebody, so therefore you're not Muchsak at all. The father's more Muchsak. It's not the father had Nechasim in his possession over here. So people think it's a Muchsak, but really the father wasn't Muchsak over here because, right, we don't know what happened. There was no Muchzakus. And similar, if Ein Safek Motzim Midei Vadai means that, like we normally say, Hamotzi Mechaber Olav Asaraya, if you want to be motzi from someone's possession, you have to bring a proof, a clear-cut proof. Having a Safek proof or a weak proof is not good enough to be motzi. The reason being over there is because of Muchsak, right? Simchas argues in Baba Kama, and Dapnun, I think. He says, Mamon de B'Sagul Chalk, and even when there's a Muchsak, but we hold like the Rabbanan, Klal Gadol B'Din, Motzi Mechaber Olav Haraya. That's a different idea. That's talking about a Muchsak Tachas Yodo. There's two types of chazaka. There's muchsak tachas yado, that anything under someone's possession, in his direct possession, we assume it belongs to him. We have an assumption that belongs to chazaka. Is a weaker proof. Chazaka means a status quo, not a status quo. Muchsak means the fact that I own this possession, or I have money in my bank account. It's not just that the status quo is that it was in my bank account. It's actually viewed as my possession. It's viewed as mine. A muchsak doesn't mean, if there's a chazaka, it doesn't mean that the money is mine. It just means that reliably we can say the status quo dictates that it should be yours, not that it is yours right now. And that's the difference in these two halachas over here. Like the Gemara in Baba Kama is talking about when we have money that is muksak tachas yado, it's in the bank account of somebody else, that we assume it's his, and you have to bring a strong proof to get it out. Here we're talking about a case, vadai motzi b'dei safek. Here we're talking about where it's a taina. It's a taina. The vadai having a strong taina, like the first case we saw Lamed Chem and Aleph, where the yavam at least is guaranteed half, and maybe guaranteed the whole thing. He has a stronger taina than the other person. So therefore, the status quo, we go with the chazaka. The chezkas vada is better than chezkas safek. The status quo of vada is better than the status quo of a safek. It's a stronger taina over there, and that's what the Gemara means. Ain't vada, ain't safek motzim midei vada. Not that he's muhsak, because he's not muhsak in these cases. He's not necessarily muhsak. He's not muhsak. He's inheriting from the grandfather. The grandfather didn't. We're trying to figure out the muhsak was the grandfather, not the yavam. And in these cases, also, right? There's no muhsak over here because we don't know who died first, the father or the son. So there's no real muhsak that ruined the chazaka. It ruined itra le chazaka. But it's a stronger claim. So the status quo, a stronger claim of a vadai, is stronger. The balcho was telling a safek because a balcho collecting money is when you're owed money or you have money in the stock market and you yet haven't sold that money into your bank account. That's not muhsak tachas yado. That's roy. That's roy. Like we saw earlier that a bechor is notel is eno notel baroy kabo muhsak, and he gets a double portion only what the father is muhsak tachas yado. It's under his hands, under his shlita. He can do whatever he wants with it. He could go to the bank and swipe his card and take it out and debit from his account. He could do that, but money that's owed to him or the stock market, he has to sell those stocks. Or he has to collect from the creditor, from the debtor. So if he doesn't collect from the debtor, so therefore it's owed to him. It's roy, but it's not muhsak. So that's what it means. The muhsak is tachas yado. Here we're just talking the chazaka of avada bitza chazaka. It's about your tainas. And that's why in the case on Lamed Chem and Aleph, tainas vada is bitza tainas safek. Tainas safek, that's what the Gemara is saying. Tainas safek is worse. We're comparing tainas over. He has a vada claim to half of it. You have a safek claim on any of it. Your tainas vada is better than tainas safek. It ruins the tainas safek, and therefore tainas vada gets everything. That would be a simple explanation. I hope you enjoyed today's share. See you with the Mishnah Yomi.